Welcome back to lesson 34. Right, in this lesson we are going to tidy up the hair a little bit and place the other bits of hair on the front of the head. So, same as before, we're going to just duplicate the vertices of a piece of hair and just attach it to the side of a head like so. If you need to rotate, Control T, and then you need to duplicate, so press Shift D, and you can then do this. So basically a lot of this is just rinse and repeat. I don't want to bore you too much with the minor details. We're just basically going over and doing the same as what we've done with the previous hair. We're just going and creating a stylized sort of pattern, and all I'm doing is looking at some concept art, having a look at some fantasy warrior hair like women just to cross-reference to make sure I've got the hair in the right place and just to make sure it looks decent enough. As you can see at the back of the hair, I will be tidying this up in just a bit, and we will place that correctly how it should go on the back of the head, since we have a very long ponytail, which we will do the long ponytail, which will be the last part of the hair in the next lesson. Since I've done so much video footage for the hair in general, as you can see, it's a very long process, a lot of moving around with the vertices. So you can use your pen if you've got a graphics tablet to move them around. Might be quicker depending on how it's just a personal preference at this point. We're not really sculpting, so using a pen or a mouse, it's up to you. I've found it much easier with the workflow just using the gizmo, the little transform tool, instead of pressing G and then the X, Y or Z axes. Sometimes, depending on the curvature of your hair, you can just select it, press G, and you can hold the control button, which will automatically then snap to wherever your cursor is. If you have it on selected to face, as you can see on the top of my screen, I've got that currently set to face. So then any of the vertices will then snap to the face. This is ideal sometimes for like the bottom pieces or the top pieces, and then just drag them in using the X, Y and Z. As you can see, I'm just stylizing the hair, making it bend down and putting it into a random plait it's on itself, mirroring from the other side on the X axis. And then I just want it to come down and just sit on the neck piece armor, as you can see. There we go. So there's a lot of moving about the vertices and just placing it into position to the best as you can do. I've spent a couple of days just doing this for different types of hair. It does take some time, but it's very rewarding at the end. So in my mind, the front bits, side bits of the hair, they're going to have bones in, so they can be moved. They'll move about. And the ponytail at the back will also have bones in so that can also move around as well. And the back of the hair would be solid as well as the top. So we're going to use certain bones for certain pieces of the hair, which I will cover over a later lesson. And the plait that goes around the top of the hair, I haven't decided if to use the plait for the ponytail and then along with straight hair. I might have a look to see what it looks like and then go off from what it looks like. Sometimes I have this image in my head and then sometimes it's not as good as what I think it looks like when I put it to practical, so when I put it on the model. So again, it's just trial and error, or in some cases just error and error. I get that quite a bit, but hey ho, it's all practice. So I'm just wanting to get these bits of the hair just underneath the one that's going across on the top. So I'm just adjusting the top bit of the hair here and just trying to push that under and making sure these are just curling over one on the top of each other and then making sure there's enough verts for it to bend at the bottom. Anyway, for the back of the head, so what I've done here is selected all the bottom verts, so it's only for half the head because we've got it mirrored on the other side. Used the proportion tool and then scrolled in, scrolled out, just to move it up along the Z axis and then moving it along the X and the Y. I then scaled it to 0 on the Y axis, is why it looks like it's in a straight line right now. It was easier to then select the verts, as you can see, just dragging a box and selecting all the ones you want, and then pressing again the same scale on the 0 on the Y. Sorry, on the Z axis, I believe. So it will make all the verts all in line. So I did this for like 3 rows. At this point I was just kind of experimenting, seeing what would be the quickest route, because you can hand do this, which could take quite some time. It does take some time, but putting in the effort definitely makes things look better. However, what I've done here is I've selected each row of verts. I have selected the I wasn't sure to delete the middle lots of verts, but no. So at the bottom verts, which these are all connected by the way, so I have merged them all together by pressing M, then merge to where the center point is. So now I'm just like playing about and thinking about, okay, what am I going to do with these? What's the best method? Kind of want to put them into the center of the head, the very bottom ones. I want all the hair vertices we've created to the center of the head. So that is what I've done, and then I'm clicking on each vertex, as you can see, and then just dragging them out one by one, lining them up with the rest of the vertices. And this is a little bit painful process, but I wasn't sure what it would look like or how it would react. So technically speaking, right from the beginning, you probably could just like done it manually, really. But I wanted the head to be the bottom bit of the vertices, all the bottom vertices I wanted to be inside the head. So then the hair goes inside the head, just like it would look like it on a real head. And plus, if you can keep them all aligned on the vertices, you can then later on adjust it if you want it to be higher up or lower down on the back of the head, and then you can then go up the vertices and then fill in the back of the head if it needs filling in. Okay, so this is just a rinse and repeat method of pulling them along the X and the Y and Z axes, just getting them into position. Right, from the bottom of the vertices, what we want to do is snap them to the back of the neck so they're all in line. So what I'm going to do is untick the align rotation to target and tick the project individual elements. What this does is it's going to calculate all the vertices, and it's going to try and snap all the vertices to the back of the neck. Don't worry if it then pulls out of place. You can scale on the Z axis and hit 0, which will then line them all back up just like so. Sometimes this helps nicely like this, but sometimes you don't want it. I'd say, like for example, for the back of the hair, I want it a bit more curved, so I'll just go over one more time and just place them up and down until it's to the back of the center of the head. So I'm just going to press Alt H, that unhides everything, just to have a little look. So as I can see, there's some bits missing, and I went over it, and now this is what it looks like. So just the back of the hair, going diagonal from the top, from the left to the right, and just moving the vertices along the bottom of the back of the neck. This will help you, as you can see, you can then select them all and move them up and down, and you can then change them later on if you don't like the look of it. It just helps you organize the vertices in the position, so you don't have to spend hours manually moving them all again after you've already moved them all in the position. I don't know, this might just be a personal preference. I didn't want to spend much time on this. I think I spent a lot of time on this when I didn't really need to. So anyway, I was just selecting them now in groups and just putting them into a better position now. Okay, so when you're happy of placing these all like this, we are going to continue on to the next lesson with the ponytail. Now we're going to experiment with the braided hair and the long hair. and we're going to use the similar methods as we have done in the past couple of lessons.